I see something yesterday and today it really they bore me was, so I really wanted to address it. But first and foremost, I wanted to speak about the demo way it happened yesterday. Yesterday's coalition of health workers, nurses, midwives who have been employed for the past 10 months and have not been paid actually, took to the streets of Accra to protest about the non-payment of, salaries, right? And it's so disheartening that you work for over 10 months and you've not been paid. Most of them, I know, are dependent on their families, their boyfriends and their girlfriends. It's difficult for almost all of them. So we saw them, on the streets yesterday protesting about the fact that, they have to be paid. The health minister, met them and they were actually told that they will be paid. Now, these nurses, they were employed just before the elections and some of them were recruited just after the election. So November, December, October, September, thereabouts, they were recruited in 2024. Right, so a new government into power, and they feel like there are ghost names on the payroll, and there are so many people that were not supposed to be there. So they are trying to sanitize the system and clean the system before they even start paying them. Right, so that is the reason for the delay of payment. See, it is unacceptable that in any part of the world you work for 10 months and you've not been paid. It's crazy. It is unacceptable. It is something that we all speak against. Right, so if they are going out there and demanding for payments of whatever, whether a new government or an old government, they need to be paid. Even if you can't pay them for the 10 months, you need to give them something to actually help themselves for transportation, for food, for renting. Living in Accra and going through all this hassle. Some of them are all over the country. It's more like a coalition, more than 1,000 people. All right, so these people need to be paid. Where there's some sort of bother to me is one particular nurse who granted an interview during the protest who said that, she works at Kolebu, she lives at Pantine, right? And she pays 42 cedis every day in and out for church, for transportation. And she's in a very, very serious situation. She even cried.
We are just pleading on the government to pay us. We've been working for 10 good months, no salary. Personally, my rent expired in 15th August. I've not been able to pay. My landlord is always asking, when are you paying? I'll be like, they'll pay us, please give me time. I stay at Pantine, I work at Kolebu. I take transportation, 42 cedis to work every day. How do they expect me to get that money to come to work? You go to work, doctors will write, check patients' vitals, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, do RBS, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You bath patients, you tend patients every 4 hours. I'm doing all this just for the minister to tell me that he appreciates the work that I'm doing. Appreciation, babe? I don't understand. Which form of appreciation?
Her video went viral because, let's be honest, because she's nice, she's beautiful, she's pretty, right? And in this part of our world, we put, currency on prettiness. So because she looks nice, people feel like, oh, why should a nice girl like you be crying? Your situation is very, very, difficult, but we don't understand why you are crying. And, everybody wanted to help. Everybody was talking about, oh, show me the address of this girl. Oh, can you give me the girl's number? Oh, we are ready to help. Big men all over the country, they were looking for this girl and ready to help. And I was like, yo, wait a second. Are we serious in this country? That, people go on demonstration and you guys are just singling out one person that you want to help just because the person is beautiful and some big man somewhere is attracted to her. So how about the thousands of people who were on the streets? Is it because they are not pretty enough, so you guys are not ready to help them, right? So that comes to the conversation about pretty privilege and the job market, where it is understood that most people are in offices and most people have jobs not because they are competent enough for the role. It's just because they are pretty. If you are pretty enough, right, you have a lot of opportunities for free. And that is what is happening to this girl, right? It is not because she's the only person suffering. In fact, there are people who are in more dire situations than her. There are people who do not even have the transportation money at all. They work. She's living with her parents. She probably has a boyfriend. And there are people who did not speak to the camera, but they are in serious situations, right? But just because she's pretty, a lot of people were ready to help. And from Kofi TV to wherever, they are posting her over. Everybody wants to help her. And I feel like it's a misplaced priority, and anybody who is pushing for this is not really serious about helping them. If you want to help them, if you think you're a rich man in this country and you want to help people protesting, call all of them, right? Pay all of them and let them go, right? Don't be attracted to one person and be like they should give you the person's number and their person's address and you're ready to help. How about the thousands of people? Or they are not humans enough, or they don't deserve that kind of privilege, they don't deserve that kind of help. This is how far our country has come, that we put so much relevance on aesthetic and how people look more than what they can do and how they can deliver. That is what breeds nepotism in workplaces, where we have people who are not competent enough, but they're filling positions just because they look pretty. When you go to the hospital, are you going to, and you have an emergency problem, are you going to put credence on whether the person is pretty or not? You're looking for solution, right? And if there's going to be a wholesale demand for payment of salaries by nurses and midwives, there should be a wholesale solution that affects everybody. It shouldn't be affecting a particular person just because the person looks nice. There are so many girls who actually spoke. Is it because they are not nice, so you guys are not ready to help them? Is it because, they did not cry? Is it because you don't have a pretty face? We don't use pretty faces to build a country. A country is built on competence and people who are ready to deliver. We don't use whether you look nice or not to build a country, bro. So if you're a big man out there and you have money to sort people, go and sort all of them. Don't be looking for particular people because they look nice. Nobody should tell me that they were moved by the girl just because she's a girl. It is because she's pretty. That is the reason, not because you want to help. But if the girl is influential enough, why didn't she, organize the demonstration on her own? She could have, stepped out there and do the demonstration on her own and still get the results, right? If she's pretty enough to actually get the results, she could have done it on her own, but she needed people to actually go out there for her to follow. There's a systemic problem with our health system, with our employment system, with non-payment of salary. It has been there for long, right? So if you're trying to fix a system, you don't just fix a system by, helping one person and leaving the rest to their perils. Then I'm more, then I'm more kind. Yo, we don't build anything like that. Most of you have problems with nurses and midwives because they are there and they are on their phones. They are on TikTok. They want to look nice. They want to look bougie. It's not about the work. Now, being a nurse or being a midwife is more like you need to look nice. If you don't look nice, you are not good enough. But we are talking about competence, saving people's lives. How does that equate to looking nice? So those of you calling for the girl and trying to, help her out, and bro, what I say, because we saw a lot of girls who are actually complaining that nobody's ready to help them because probably they don't look nice enough. But that is not how you solve a problem. This is a systemic problem. Governments they are focusing on the wrong things. Every government has this, problem with demonstrators, people being recruited into the system and they are not being paid, from teachers to doctors to nurses to whoever, right? It is a systemic problem and it needs to be solved from the base. That is why we need to cancel the Alawa system. The Alawa system is the reason people feel entitled to, a lot of things in this country, right? It's so unwise that you pay people to go to school and afterwards you need to guarantee them employment. And the employment, you don't have the money to guarantee them employment because you've not built enough health facilities to actually accommodate them, right? But you are paying them for going to school. You are paying them allowance for, parochial political interest. Alawa, what is Alawa going to solve? That Alawa money that we actually push to paying teachers and nurses, we can actually use them to expand our health system, build more, schools, build more, health facilities so that the teachers and the nurses, when they graduate, they'll have places to work, right? But we are focusing on they voting for us because of some votes for us to come into power. I don't fucking get it that a country like Ghana that we've not been able to solve our problems, we are focusing on paying people for going to school. There's always a scholarship system somewhere that is actually, taking money out of the system. Create more jobs, build more factories, create more employment. Forget about paying people for going to school. What tertiary students need is that when they complete school, they'll be employed, they'll be paid. It's not about 1,500 and 2,500. They want to be paid and live good. The average youth in Ghana wants to leave the country because there's no hope. And you think paying them alawa is a way of solving the problem? You people, you're not serious, bro. We demand for the wrong things. We demand for freebies and, every time you come around to cry. Free SHS, but you can't get into the school because school's placement has put you somewhere, right? Instead of you to cry for systems to be fixed so that the schools will be in, good conditions so that you can go to the school. We've introduced free SHS and every school is now, ordinary, right? So you are paying 35,000 to go to the best schools. We want freebies, but we don't want to solve the problems. So if you don't solve the problem, you have this perennial problem of, nurses hitting the streets and protesting because they've not been paid. Because once they were in school, we're focusing on giving them money. Cancel the Alawa system, bro. Every serious government must cancel the Alawa system and channel that resources into building, more health centers, employing more people. People should not sit in the house for more than 3 years, struggle for years before they are employed. If you're a serious country and you have leaders who think about the welfare of people and not because of some parochial interests, who Scrap that system of Alawa and focus on better things. That's why we are here talking about, helping one particular girl just because she's nice. How about the rest? How about the thousands? If the system was actually working, those girls do not need to hit the street because the system is so big that it is accommodating everybody and it is paying everybody, right? That's why these nurses, after some time, they will move out of the country because, the system doesn't work for them. So if you want the system to work, you don't focus on one particular person because the person is nice. You focus on everybody and you solve the problem from the root.